Welcome everybody. In tonight's video, I'll be showing you a new Swiss Army knife I got from Nodak Knives LLC. He is a seller on eBay who sells really good stuff. It's a little hodgepodgey, I'll admit, but you go there, you'll find good stuff, you'll find it cheap. He sells good, he sells it quick, he's good with shipping. Great guy. If you're looking for a trusted seller on eBay to buy good stuff from, he's the one to check out. If you can't read that at this distance, we'll zoom in. Zoom camera. Whoop. Nodak Knives LLC. He goes by Knife Lover 88 over on Instagram. And great guy. Trying to pay his way through college and stuff. So send a few bucks his way, buy some stuff. He's great. You won't regret it. So, with that out of the way, we are going to take a look at the Victorinox Tinker. This is the 91mm version, not the 84mm, which is fine. That's absolutely fine. And it has the Econo scales. Economy, nylon, I see it go by 10 different names when I try to look it up online. This seems to be an alternative plastic that Victorinox uses that is different from their Celador. This is, when you hear Victorinox, you think of their Celador scales, and their Celador scales look like this. It's smooth, it's shiny, whereas the Econo scales are kind of this matte, grippier texture here, a little bit more toned down, a little bit darker red. Putting them side by side like so, you can see the difference. Honestly, I like the Celador more. I like the shininess, even, as it gets scratched up in your pocket and stuff. I like the Celador. But the Econo is actually, there's something different. I actually like this quite a lot. And this is, I have the Deluxe Tinker. My dad has the Super Tinker. This is the basic Tinker. So let's get into what all the Tinker is. Tinker is your main blade. Nice, dependable blade. You have a secondary blade, very sharp. Both are very sharp out of the box. If you know anything about Victorinox, their knives come sharp. We have the flathead can opener wire stripper combo tool here, and very good. It has like a 5 out of 10 pull to open. It's almost like a 10 out of 10 to close it, so it's not going to slam shut on you when you've got this out all the way and you're trying to bear down and, pry with it. That is actually very stiff. I love that. And we have the infamous or famous, depending on whether or not you use cans a lot, can opener. We have a little flathead tool on there. I think most people understand that is a little flathead driver, because what does that have to do with cans? On the back, we have the awl. Very sharp little awl. Lovely. Still has oil out of the package. Here is the package that it came in. Had to use another Victorinox to get the Victorinox out, but we can pause here if you wish to read that. Econo red scales on the little tag there in the back. So there you go. Then we have the Phillips driver, which does not have the slit in the top like a few older models do, which is to open up your cans of corned beef. They have that little turnkey on the side where you push the little pin in and you twist it and you unroll that little strip of metal from off the can. Well, some old Victorinoxes, when they have that little slit, that is what that slit is intended for. You slip it in to that little metal bit and you can twist your can of Spam open and get to that delicious Spam. We have the two normal scale tools of the toothpick and tweezers, which I know the tweezers are not great, but they are actually, the way these are made, there's actually a few things that these do good at, and actually better at, than normal tweezers. So don't knock them until you try them. Now, the one thing I don't like about the Econo scales is when you open up the Phillips driver, and we'll open it up on here, is the Celador scales have a tiny little hole. Don't know if I can get that to show up on camera here, but it has a tiny little hole right here that holds a tiny little needle or pin, P-I-N, not P-E-N, P-I-N, and I have found that to be super duper handy. Great for having to get out splinters and stuff. And it just tucks right in there. And then the way the tool overlaps the hole, it keeps that pin from flying out on you. Even on the corkscrew models, it does pretty good. But this does not have that little pinhole there. So that's one little drawback, I guess, from this. And the reason why I mentioned the 84mm version at the beginning is because I've been watching a ton of MacGyver, the old original MacGyver show. Been binging that lately. And his main carry is the Tinker, but it is the Tinker Small. These are the 91mm knives. These are, when you hear Victorinox, you think of this size of knife. The Farmer X, which I will dig out of my pocket here, is a 93mm knife, so it's actually a little bit longer. And that is quite handy in many times. But the MacGyver knife is actually a little bit smaller than this, but it has the exact same tool set. I don't know if his is the Celador or the Econo scale, so I would assume the Celador. But the main tool set of, at least, you know, he has the big knife blade, little knife blade. Don't see him use that too often, but I see him whip this out every other episode to go pick locks, shoving it in, wiggle it, pop the lock. But yeah, this is just a slim knife. Runs you about $30 on average on getting it new from people that sell knives in stores like SMKW, Victorinox, and such. I was lucky enough to get this from Nodak Knives for $20 plus $5 shipping. And it got here super fast. And since I sponsor him, or not sponsor him, I shout him out on these channels, he was kind enough to also surprise me with this little Kershaw tool here. Very handy little tool. I believe this is the PT1, and I am loving this. This goes down in my pocket. I've already used it to mess around with some stuff. And what's nice is that even if you have a Phillips head driver, or Phillips head screw here, you take this in here, and that just sits right in and locks into those Phillips. It just goes in and does not wiggle much at all, if any. This sticks, but not as much. But you take that pointy end, you go in, and that just, man, it goes in and that stays in. Of course, you know, it's great for the flathead drivers. It's great for just poking around. It's also fantastic as an extra fingernail for getting stuff out. So thank you again for sending that along with this and a sticker, which I think I'm going to put inside my Altoids tin, like so. I need to make a video about this someday. It's my little personal manicure kit. But thank you for the PT1. I love it. But back to this little guy. Compared in the line of Tinkers, this is like the bare bones minimum that one would need. Now, you do have the Spartan or whatever it is, which has the corkscrew instead of the Phillips driver. And I have gotten really into the corkscrews. I do find the corkscrews very useful for a lot of things. But I think I do prefer just having a Phillips head, like so, because I can really just bear down, loosen, tighten, and get stuff with that. And it's great as a little poker as well, just straight on poking into stuff. But this is like the bare bones of what I think the average person would need in a Swiss Army knife. You have your main knife blade that you just use and abuse. You'd have your little guy here for the sharper stuff that requires a finer tuned blade, like wood carving or something. You just got this great little backup blade. I do open cans regularly, and I have gotten really used and enjoy Victorinox can openers. And then just a basic flathead pry bar of sorts. This is just outright fantastic. It is just about the perfect size for most flathead stuff that one would come across in day-to-day life. What I would kind of like to see Victorinox try to implement is two things. One, see if they could turn the can opener into like a little bit of a wrench for, say, like a 10mm or something, and you just kind of pop on and, you know, work around. And then their wire stripper, which works delightfully well on small wires, really well on small wires. I wish that they would take a rat tail file, just to use this as an example here. Instead of filing straight in like they do here, go in at an angle and make kind of this ground out inverse chisel, you know, wire stripper, like what's on the Swiss tool here. Let me dig that out. Make one of these, although, you know, that doesn't have to be that big, but make one of those on their average flathead. I think that'd be so much more handy as an average tool to use for the everyday person. But I do work on small wires on occasion, and I do find that specific little wire stripper to be quite handy. So, no complaints. It is a viable tool in all senses. And then in the Tinker line, about the biggest as you get in the Tinker is the Deluxe Tinker. And it has the main 4 tools, but what you get added are 2 more tools. You get the scissors. Now the version of this, which is just this and the scissors, is what's called the Super Tinker. Fantastic Swiss Army knife. The first one I really started off with was the Super Tinker. I loved it. My dad has it now. Gotten him into Swiss Army knives a bit. So, good knife for him. But you get the scissors, which are fantastic, and I've worn these down, which is why they don't open as well. But I have just used and abused these scissors. It took about 2 years of hard use to do it, but if you use it on just normal stuff and don't go crazy, they'll last forever. And the pliers. And granted, they are not going to hold a candle to a pair of Knipex, you know, pliers wrench, or the Knipex Cobra pliers. Okay, I admit to that. But these are great as just what your fingers can do, but better, getting into tight little spaces to grab something, twist, or grab something, push it in and let go, grab it out. Just fantastic tool to have. Now what it does do, grantedly, is makes it considerably thicker. But if you're the type of person who doesn't mind that, like I usually wear cargo pants, or pants with specialty magazine pockets and stuff, a thicker knife sits down in those with no trouble whatsoever. But if you wear just 5-pocket jeans where you got the 2 front, 2 back, and a coin pocket, well, I think this would be better. This will sit down inside those pockets a lot better, and you still got a good range of tools that one can use. Got the half stop on the flathead there, which is really nice for getting some extra leverage. So, great little knife. I highly recommend the Tinker. I've been using it a few days now. And thank you again to Nodak Knives LLC over on eBay for having the knife in stock when I bought it. Sold it. Got it to me real fast. Threw in a little bonus for me. Thank you very much for that. If you're looking, I'll say this again in case you skipped it in the beginning. If you're looking for an eBay seller that you can trust, that has the unique stuff on eBay when it comes to EDC gear, knives, knickknacks, stickers, and all that fun stuff, go check him out. He's got reasonable prices, good prices, and fantastic shipping. So check him out. So with that said, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful and informational. I hope it helps you build your EDC to your standards. And until the next time, farewell, carry well, and bye-bye.